Hey folks, welcome to the new basement. So today's video is going to be on Seiðr. What is Seiðr? When I write or I talk about it, I am specifically talking about working with Veitir to achieve an end. This may be including the retrieval of information, which can overlap with Spa. Spa is working with Veitir to make prophecies, communicate, or retrieve information. I differentiate Seiðr from Spa, while some use the terms interchangeably. While it could be said that a Seidkona could also be a Spa Kona, I like to keep the terms neat and as tidy as I can. So, our map of Seiðr and Spa, like a lot of what is available to us as modern heathens, is far less complete than ideal. So we have a handful of sources, and Irksagaráutha in particular. One of the best academic texts to examine this subject and a lot of other forms of magic is Dr. Neil Price's The Viking Way, Religion and War in Late Iron Age Scandinavia. It is an excellent overview of the archaeological and written history of the study of the subjects, and it's an excellent resource on the history of the various forms of magic and the various forms that we might practice. So, when it comes to Seiðr, as well as other forms of magic and spirit work, I am far less concerned with how close it eschews to historical accuracy. Now, I want to be really clear. I am using historical accuracy with big air quotes. Big air quotes. I care more that it eschews to whether it's effective. The majority of my experience with Seiðr and Spa is being told by Othin to go study under Freya and to learn. Her instructions were clear and to the point. It started with my usual regimen of grounding, centering, cleansing, shielding, and then warding the space. I then will start to do Seiðr by breathing deep, like 4-4 breathing, for instance, or depending on what kind of Seiðr I'm doing, I might do rapid breath, to where it's really quick rapid breaths, really getting into that trance head state. And I'll usually combine that with rocking and or shaking. Once in trance, I call to the Veitir or group of Veitir I am to work with. Now, they come to me or into me as is needed for the working. Once they depart, whether I close the session or they do, I cleanse, ground, center myself, and then I do shield work. All of this to be sure that they and their essences are gone and I don't have any hangers on. So, when I began to read others' accounts of Seiðr, what I began to find was that what I learned from Freya was in line with Jan Free's understanding in Seidways or Seidways. The first book I would recommend anybody interested in learning to do Seiðr is Cat Heath's Elves, Witches, and Gods, which is an excellent book that I desperately wish that I had when I began to learn how to do Seiðr. With Seidways, I do remember that being a solid resource when I read it. I haven't read it in a couple of years, but what I do remember of it was good. So, that being said, the question of validity, of varieties of Seiðr tends to come up in discussions of what we're doing and how accurately we can reconstruct what examples of Seiðr remain to us. As a heathen Seidh mother, my first concern, lies with efficacy of the ritual rather than if it is an accurate reconstruction or if carrying it out is done in a historically accurate detail. Now, to be sure, the historical sources do inform how and why and in what ways we carry out and actually do Seiðr. And to my mind, most of the forms directly involved in that are Vetir. Whether it is a voler, it is a staff, a spjot, a stav, or a drum, or taufer, that is charms, magic charms. It can incorporate aspects of magic most of us might be familiar with. For instance, sympathetic magic or knot magic, literally the tying or untying of knots to do magic. We can involve chant, known as Lioth. It can also involve Galdr. And Galdr is an entire field unto itself, and how it's practiced today can sometimes have intersections with where folks like Dr. Price think that Galdr came out of. And to be sure, there are people that connect, academics that connect Galdr to rune work. And some authors don't hold with my view of Seiðr, that it involves Vetir other than the practitioner themselves. Now, I will agree that Seiðr is used to affect changes in Earther. That is, the Anglo-Saxon cognate is weird, the tapestry of creation. I find that most forms of Seiðr involve Vetir, other Seiðr may not. That is also part of the beauty of Seiðr, that we can each approach and engage with it in our own ways. Dr. Price's The Viking Way is an excellent resource, like I've already explained, not only for its exploration of Seiðr, but also for just the sheer amount of words it brings to describe varieties of Seiðr, spa, and other forms of magic. It is a hoard of knowledge. Okay, for instance, Gondr. Gondr is explored in several places, starting on page 35. And the basic sense of the word is often argued to mean magic, although it relates to spirits and the sending of spirits. The Gondr is also sometimes reckoned as the staff which sends the spirits. So, De Vries in the book argues it's related to the Ginnungagap. It has incredible power then, Gondr, and would be considered one of the primal forces. So Gondr could be used to mean a term for magic, spiritual power and might, and the calling of and sending of Vetir to accomplish an end. Now, the various Ritha, which are suffixes, speak directly to the harsher and direct forms that Seiðr could be employed. Kveldritha, which is evening rider, Trollritha, which is rider of witchcraft, literally means troll rider. Myrkritha, night rider. Munritha, mouth rider. Tunritha, which is fence rider or roof rider. Kaldritha, cold rider. And Thrathritha, thread rider. So, another form of incredibly powerful, disruptive, and painful, baneful magic is employed by the Gambentine, which is a nasty wand that was used for severely disordering the mind and was specifically employed to instill uncomfortable lust and likely sexual subservience to the wielder. In various kinds of Seiðr, there is an implication or an association with sex objectives or sexual acts in the performance of Seiðr. Now, given Vetir are called in, directed, and or worked with through Seiðr, besides the use of staves and wands, it's likely why it was regarded with such respect and fear. This is also potentially one of the reasons that men who practice this bringing in of the Vetir, this bringing in of power through what was usually termed feminine magic, well, this might be part of why it was looked at as, quote, feminine magic, end quote, because you are bringing in spirits. A lot of the material we have, at least from the late Iron Age, tends to look at feminine magics, again, huge air quotes. Feminine magic is usually looked at as a very subtle, backstabby kind of a thing, whereas a lot of the, quote, male magic, end quote, is powerful, forthright. Galder is called, and the use of one's Megan or might is a mighty, powerful, forward thing. But yet, you also have examples of things like, say, they're calming storms or bringing in fish to the bay or wrecking your opponent's ship at sea. So Seder takes a lot of forms, and we have to be kind of careful not to put the gender bias of the past on it because it takes so many forms and it takes so many different ways of doing it. And there are, say, the Mother that are remarked upon in the sources, and they were sought out for their skill just as much as, say, the Konas were. So, now that being said, while Seiðr was likely called into use for any conceivable need, it's well worth remembering. There is a full spectrum of effects that can be worked with it in power. And magic is, at the end of the day, a form of and use of power to achieve an end. This video cannot possibly hope to cover all the aspects beneath the term. Part of the reason for that is that we are still reconstructing and developing new ways of working and doing Seiðr, of embodying Seiðr. So rather than asserting anything is settled, we would probably do much better to understand Seiðr as a work in progress. That everybody who practices Seiðr, whether you're published, whether you're producing videos or not, whether you're fresh new to this or you've been doing this your whole life, everybody who contributes to the practice of Seiðr is contributing at this point to its development. Whether you're experienced as a vulva, that, or plural is vulur, staff bearer is what it means. Whether you're a new Seithman, that is a man who does Seiðr, or you're a moderately experienced Seith Mother, a Seith person, because Mother isn't actually, while it's masculine, it means man isn't human. Each of us, no matter what your experience level, no matter where you're at, no matter how you're doing it, is developing the practice of Seiðr. And one of the exciting things, I think, developing out of modern heathenry is regional variants of our practices. So I'm really curious to see in the future not only what my own practice is going to look like, but what folks in heathenry who practice Seiðr are going to be doing in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It is a definite work in progress. It's not settled. And I think that is a real power and beauty with Seiðr and with heathenry in general. So, all right, folks, I will see you in the next one.